Yes, welcome back to John.
What in the world are you talking about?
And Emily Blake.
Hey!
Chewy cannot be here this week because scheduling errors. She's actually currently in the apartment. She just can't record because we thought she was not going to be here. So we have two guests this week. One filling in for Chewy and one that I just asked to be on randomly. And that first one is Amberlee.
Hi!
Amberlee, you haven't been on since our Star Wars episode. I believe it was Force Awakens.
Yes, you actually...
No, it was
made-
it was the...
No, we did the battle for Force Awakens when it hit theaters, and then we reviewed Force Awakens when it came out.
Oh,
and that's when
right.
we had Amberlee and her now husband on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you actually made me watch one of those stupid movies. Uh-oh.
So you could hear him laughing if you remember his laugh. We have Ryan James here this week as well.
I'm back.
Don't sound excited.
When I was thinking of the episode we had to do today, I was like, can I throw this at a new person, or should I just make somebody who kind of knows what they're doing with battles do it first? And that felt like the right way to do it, because this is kind of a new battle for us.
I still did a terrible job.
You know, the episode hasn't recorded yet. Right?
Do you have the true sight? or
I
something?
mistakenly picked a good movie.
Yeah, you did. We'll get into that.
Really?
You're watching, you're like,
Yeah.
oops.
Oh my
oops.
God, are you serious? The
Yeah,
movie's
it's so good.
phenomenal.
Oh, I knew you'd like it.
It's just the best. A shark roars like a lion. Like, not to spoil things,
It does. I like.
You're saving me time. I love it.
but we'll get there. So first, we'll do a where have you been doing? Unless anybody has anything to plug. That's what I thought. Okay, so we'll do a where have you been doing? I will go first. I watched the entirety in about one sitting, minus one episode of The End of the Fucking World on Netflix. And it is fucking fantastic.
Fucking fantastic.
Like,
I
so good. And it's not getting a lot of like hype. Like, people in LA are talking about it, but I talked to my friends in the Midwest or even East Coast, and they're kind of like, I think I heard about that. It was popular in England, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, it was, but it's here now. You can watch it.
Yeah, I found it completely by accident. I was doing that thing where you go through Netflix and just kind of scroll, like, see whichever trailer grabs you.
Oh, every time I eat a meal.
And then and then that voiceover happens in the trailer. It's like, I'm a psychopath. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let's wait.
Yeah,
I'm going to kill somebody. Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah, so the plot of the show, and I'll pitch it very briefly. You should definitely watch it, and you should not have anything spoiled for you. So this is not a spoiler. You get this in the first 5 minutes. But it's basically, there's a boy who believes that he's a psychopath and has been killing animals and wants to up his game and kill a human. And there's a girl who wants to escape everything, and they decide to go on a road trip together so she can escape everything and he can figure out a good time to murder her. And it is like the weirdest show, and it's like oddly like it was
Oddly romantic.
But also oddly very harsh. Like, they hit
Yeah.
really heavy themes. They don't really shy away from anything, and
But funny.
but funny too. Like, it's like a masterpiece. Again,
Yeah.
I use that word very lightly, but like, that one it's so fucking good, and you can finish the whole thing in one sitting because it's 8 somewhere between 19 to 22-minute episodes. So you can
Unless you're me. I got halfway through and I got too tired.
that doesn't make sense to me. That's it for me though, John.
So, sticking with our Netflix theme, I watched The Conjuring. Yeah, I didn't realize it was on Netflix, and I was like, I kind of want to watch something horror-themed that's of quality, and that popped up first. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Had you seen it first before?
Nope. I'd only heard of it and heard you guys talk about it.
Oh, I love it. I like James Wan horror though, so
Yeah, no, it was really good, and yeah.
I think it's better than the Insidious thing that's been going on for too long now. Like, this one's a little bit more interesting, and I like the world that they're kind of building. It's
I imagine it loses steam with the other movies that are out.
Nope.
No, it doesn't? Any of them?
Conjuring 2 is great.
Okay.
The first Annabelle movie is pure fucking garbage. The second Annabelle movie is phenomenal.
Oh, okay. So only one of them.
Yeah.
'Cause
only one-
I went through Wikipedia rabbit hole of all these movies.
Yeah.
I was like, there are how many? Oh, they can't all be good.
yeah. Most of them
Ask
are.
Brian later.
If you like horror movies, most of them are at least decent.
Oh, nice.
The second one has problems, like they have budgetary problems, and it kind of gets bogged down in its own bullshit. But for the most part, it's
Okay.
still a fun horror movie. They have this one CGI monster that just comes out of left field, and it's not great, but otherwise, it's a pretty solid movie. I liked it.
Cool. I'll definitely watch it.
Ryan, what about you?
I watched an analog documentary recently. It's one of those ones where you have to like look at the words and they're not like filmed yet. I think they call it a book.
Book. There's book stores.
Book. I got it from a book store. It's called Trust.
I really honestly was very confused about where you were going for a minute there.
I read a book. I don't do this very often. It's called Trust Me, I'm Lying. The Confessions of a Media Manipulator. It's by Ryan Holiday. And it's kind of like, You remember, back when we were in the innocent days, and we would all go, be careful what you say on the phone. The government is listening to you, and everyone would go, yeah, sure are.
And then you hear a side voice. Oh, oops.
And then and then that guy was Edward Snowden, and he said, yeah, they are. Here's all the evidence, and you were like, oh, I didn't want to know that that's real. So this book is the analog to that for like Facebook and ads and articles. And you read this and you go, oh, wow, there really are people entirely gaming the system, and we are just pawns. We are the product in their whole Facebook blogverse world. It's really eye-opening. I highly recommend it.
How does it feel to be a packageable product, Ryan?
How
do you feel about it?
I've always been that way. We've all always been that way.
We go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Superman shirt and
we take
Superman
all
socks
that.
right
I take
now.
all that free stuff.
I mean, in some level, it's comforting because on some small microcosmic level, I'm valuable to somebody.
Oh, that's wow, dude.
That's true. You'll never see any of it, but people are buying and selling you all the time.
And then everyone just like sighed in the cars listening to this podcast.
Yep.
People are buying your eyes.
Emily, what about
views.
you?
They're called views. Yeah.
I did it, guys. I talk about BDSM so much, but I had never seen 50 Shades of Grey. So I watched
I didn't know those
it.
were related.
Well, that's a very good point
Yeah.
because this is not at all. Neil James does not know what she's talking about,
Oh, no.
guys.
And she really doesn't like people who do BDSM.
Yeah.
They're the bad guys.
It just ended. The movie just stopped.
Yeah.
And my roommate who actually saw it in the theater could hear me. He was in the other room playing a video game, and I was sitting there, and I just went, "Is that the end of the movie?" And he in the other room goes, "Yep, that's it." Yeah, it was so many problems, guys. A lot of problems with everything. He just buys her a new car and sells her old car without communicating with her. First of all, you don't just meet someone who is not into BDSM and then show her your dungeon and be like, FYI, you're a sub now. That's not how that shit works. He never asks her what she wants. He's just like, here are the things I want. Do you agree to do them? That's not how it works. And at the end, she's fine with being spanked, but spoiler alert, she's fine with being spanked, but then when he spanks her with a belt instead of his hand, she's like, oh, you're disgusting. What the fuck? What is wrong with, stop. If you're into BDSM, just don't date vanillas. That's the lesson that I learned from this movie.
I love that this movie is for women. It really plays out like a movie for men.
I did not enjoy the sex scenes at all.
I don't know who does.
Because
I don't know
there's
who
no
watched this
chemistry
and enjoyed
between
it.
them.
They hate each other.
Yeah.
But still, they try to make a movie for women sex scenes and instead just shot them for men sex scenes and ended up making sex scenes for nobody.
But there's a
The
female
whole movie
director.
is that way to me.
That's the thing is there's a
Yeah.
female director. I've heard that E.L. James made it really difficult for her to do the movie she wanted to do. So that
and they didn't get the cast they wanted. That movie's just troubled. But I will give them the tagline for the third one is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Don't miss the climax.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Highly recommend the second one as well. It's even better.
Okay, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can handle it.
I don't know. There's
when you
like
know what you're
stereo,
going for?
there's stereo sarcasm over here.
I was
When Ryan's saying better, avoid it.
I was texting my boyfriend what is this? And because he hadn't seen it either, and I was just like, now they're doing this, and he was like, what? That's fucked up. And I was like, yeah, now they're doing this the whole time, which made it more enjoyable.
You make a drinking game out of it. Drink every time you're confused.
I really kind of wish I'd chosen that movie for this battle. This would have been a good.
That would have been a really good one.
Even though Ryan picked it for our most romantic battle. That was a year ago. So that's how I saw that fucking thing. Thanks, Ryan.
I forgot what battle it was for. That's awesome.
Our romance battle.
But now I've seen it, so now I can talk about it with some kind of intelligence.
Yep, that's how I felt when I finished. I'm like, well, now I never need to see that again. Amberlee, what about you? Anything you've been up to?
Oh, I'm on watching, I think, 762 of the Gilmore Girls.
Nice.
Exciting.
It's just on a constant stream over and over and over and over again in my life. I'm on season 7 again though, so
Is 7 the new one?
it's the last. No, it's the last one of the old series.
Oh, okay.
I can't move to the new ones because it's just sad. It just hurts my heart.
My sister enjoyed it. She liked Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, it's just a cheap thrill.
Oh, that's such a good review.
I love it.
Okay. With that, I think we should move on to today's battle, which is bad movie battles.
Yay.
We're doing this because in January, historically, terrible fucking movies come out.
And they have.
And they have. This month has been no exception. I haven't seen anything that came out this month because they all look terrible. Unless they're movies that were supposed to come out in like December for like Academy fodder and then just gets dumped in January with a full release. But
And for context for the audience, you go to movies all the time.
all the time.
So for you to not go is a big deal.
January is the month that I usually just kind of skip. Like I'll see the ones that I missed and then I'll... Because like I'm not going to go see The Commuter. Fuck that. So I figured it'd be a good time to talk about movies that we actually hate. And around the table, we did mediocre to picking movies that we actually hate. I'm looking at two people specifically.
This is accurate. This is accurate. Wait, you didn't say, you said bad movies. You didn't say movie you hate.
I said you're
That's true.
fighting for last place.
Yeah, but
you want
if
to pick
you'd
the
said-
worst movie
if
on
you'd
the
said
table.
movie you hate, I would have picked Spy Kids.
Fair enough. But we also had the one rule, which it had to do under 30 on either Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic.
Yeah, my movie got 9%, y'all.
0.
Yours wasn't rated. So, yeah. Amberlee will be kind of taking over from this point because she will be running as our judge. She also has a gavel. If we'll
She also
grab
has
that
a
in
dog.
And a dog. Marvin's here as well.
Marvin Gaye is here.
Yep.
So
he is adorable and very well behaved.
he's very well behaved. You should look at him on Instagram.
What's his Instagram?
His Marvin Gaye the dog, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
All right, gonna add that
God,
to the plugs.
Ryan.
There's a plug for you.
So we're gonna take 5 minutes each to say why ours is the worst on the table. Then Amberlee will get 5 minutes to quiz us. Other people that are around the table can also ask questions about what was up with that.
Can I interrupt?
You're
And ask
the
questions
judge.
during?
If you want to, that is fine.
Yeah. So I was just in a courthouse in Louisiana in NOLA for a week shooting. So I actually know a lot about being a judge. Also,
Perfect.
I'm
Great.
super judgmental.
Yeah, that's
Great.
when I told Amberlee this earlier. When Chewie couldn't do this, I was like, I need somebody who has the least amount of patience for bullshit I can think of. And Amberlee was the first person that came to mind.
Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice that that's what people think about you?
Sometimes.
I just like that people think about me.
Wow, John is having a dark
Jesus.
day.
Dark day.
I'm getting into the zone.
You're Morty.
Okay, so we're gonna do a 5-minute timer here. I have it on my laptop. Amberlee, you get to take over from here. Who do you want to go first?
Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, ladies first.
Okay. Hi, guys.
I love that.
I think that's a pretty good system.
All right, Emily.
Did you say Pamela? Okay.
Emily.
I picked a movie called The Pirate Movie, and that's the title, The Pirate Movie, which already great.
Original thinking for sure.
Yeah. So
What's it
it's
about?
It's based on the Pirates of Penzance, but 80s as fuck. When I was a little girl, very, very tiny, this is quite possibly the first movie I ever saw that I remembered. My sister and I went to see it together, and we fell in love with it. It was the greatest movie of all time, and because I was like 4, so we bought the LP. We listened to it, the soundtrack, all the time. And then so as an adult, years went by. As an adult, I remember this movie so fondly, and I talked about it so much that my ex found a VHS copy of it in Canada for me, and I watched it all excited. I was like, this movie's so good. And I was so excited to show it to my boyfriend at the time. And it was garbage. It was so bad, guys. It's really bad, and it was disheartening. I was like, I loved this movie. Also, I remember every word to every song, which is pretty great because I was singing along with it. I was like, it's terrible, but listen to the songs.
So the illusions of your childhood were destroyed.
Oh, totally destroyed. This movie destroyed my childhood now because it made so much. Because it's a movie that's like, look, we like to be feminist. And I feel like this movie had a big impact because it's like the first movie I ever saw, and the heroine is just like a big feminist. And I was like, oh, feminism. But so I remember this movie as like being really cool and great and all that. But like when you look at it again, it's just so silly. It's so 80s. The costumes are 80s. The behavior is the slapstick comedy is 80s. It's so silly. And the director, the guy who plays the Pirate King, is responsible for this movie. This is his baby, and he's an Australian actor, and he really hasn't done a lot of film. He's a big theater guy, and he got a producer on board who's a music producer, and 10 days before the movie was about to start shooting, they fired the director and hired on Ken Anakin, who is a hugely successful. He directed The Swiss Family Robinson and one of my favorite movies, The Longest Day. And but he came on board. He was like, sure, Gilbert and Sullivan. All right, I'll do it. So there are Gilbert and Sullivan songs, although they changed the lyrics to Modern Major General to reflect a modern era. Which there's a line about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones in there, which is weird because the play was written in 1890 something. And then they add in 80s music. There is a Kool and the Gang song in there. There is there's a couple of other 80s songs, and you can totally tell which ones are 80s and which ones are Gilbert and Sullivan.
You're doing a really terrible job of making this sound bad.
Oh, God. Okay.
'Cause it's amazing.
Well, I haven't gotten to the part where there's cartoon fish. Like in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, there's a scene where he's underwater looking for a chest of gold, and there's actually cartoon fish that come through the movie for no goddamn reason.
Sounds like the best movie on the planet.
There's also the moment when I realized the movie had gone off the rails was there's a scene because it was made in 1982, and so there's a scene where they're having a sword fight. And all of a sudden, our main character hears, "Use the Force, Frederick." And he looks over, and there's a fucking lightsaber on the floor. And he pulls it to him with the Force, and then he pulls up the lightsaber and like threatens the Pirate King with the lightsaber. Why? Why is that there? Why? Because I'll tell you why. Because Star Wars came out and was really popular, and they were like, the kids like the Star Wars thing. Let's put that in our movie. They're lucky Star Wars lasted. Otherwise, that would have been a reference that no one fucking understood. So yeah, it's a mess. It's so super 80s, and they change details, and it's like it's trying to be make fun of itself. There's an Inspector Clouseau reference thrown in for no reason, where he talks about pirates versus parrots because he pronounces pirate like parrot, but then parrots. We're going to find the parrots. It's I don't know. There's pizza throwing. There's a giant melee. There's a melee between these wimpy cops and the pirates, and there's rape, but it's fun.
Oh.
There's also a scene where our main female character gets a pirate king to think he's going to sleep with her, and then she leaves with a blindfold on him, and a much larger, much older woman comes in and has sex with him, and he thinks it's the younger girl. So like he gets raped, but he's cool with it, and then they end up like hooking up at the end, which is great. And it ends in a mass wedding and a song called "Give Me a Happy Ending." Only then it turns out, I forgot it's a frame story. So she's actually in the 80s, and before all the pirate movie stuff starts, she actually goes into a coma and dreams it all. And then when she wakes up, the same guy from the dream is there, and he's just like, "Oh, I've been in love with you when you were sleeping." And then they kind of get married. I don't know. It's very vague. So that's what happens.
So I would say that's your 5 minutes there.
Yeah.
I have no questions.
The thing is, so for Amberlee can obviously interrupt me at any point, but the thing with your movie was, as much of a rough watch as it is, it's kind of amazing. And when I watched this at work, and I work with a lot of people who are older than me, not like they're not super old dudes or anything, but they're like about 10 years older than me. And when I was watching at my desk, every single person walked by and went, "Oh, it's a pirate movie. I saw it in theaters. That's so fucking good." And any movie that gets that reaction, I refuse to say is the worst.
How old were they, though?
Yeah, because like mid-40s.
Oh, no, I mean when they watched it. Because
they
as
saw
a
it in theaters.
4-year-old, it was amazing. As an adult, it's garbage.
They all saw it in theaters.
I
But
don't normally like text people or chat with them while I'm watching a movie, but I couldn't help but exclaim many times to Brian over iMessage like, "Oh my god, this movie's amazing!" And they were like, "What do we miss, pirates? Sex!" And what?
And I was messaging Emily as I was watching it. It's just like this movie. Like there's just too much. Like
You messaged me that you had to stop watching it twice.
I took breaks. I took breaks in all the movies on the table today because
Okay.
otherwise I just lose my sanity. But no, out of all of them, like that's the one that like you turn on. It's like I wish I had friends here. Like I want to be watching this with friends. Like it's just like you want to enjoy it with people.
I did.
have
I
that
also
problem.
watched the commentary and I took notes, so I have some details that I can fill everyone in on.
But what questions do you have, Amberlee?
Well, so my very, very first question is, it's a frame in the frame sort of thing. So she falls in love with this guy who's been watching her in her sleep for the
No,
whole
not
time?
quite. She meets a guy who
He's a
at the
pirate
beginning.
reenactor.
He's a pirate reenactor, and she meets him at the beginning.
So she does. Like, he just doesn't just show up.
Yeah,
at
she
a-
meets him, and then he invites her out on her boat. But then, like, these
The women
girls-
kidnap him.
Then the women basically kidnap him and leave her behind, and because she wears flannel shirts and isn't attractive, even though she's gorgeous because she's Chrissy McNichol. And then she tries to follow them in a boat. And then there's a storm or something, and she falls out of the boat and almost drowns. And then while she's out, she dreams this whole world. And then when she wakes up, he's there.
Oh, is he? Maybe he like got her out of the water. Or
I don't-
something?
It's very much that
implied?
the top is still spinning. To use an exception.
Okay.
Yawn.
Especially when like the next scene they're getting married or something after. I don't.
Why are you so confused about weddings in this movie? Are they like real vague?
Yeah, there's like a mass wedding where she puts everyone together, including 2 male pirates, which I appreciated, including the 1 black person in this movie. And then when she wakes up, they also like there's a bunch of streamers and everyone's celebrating them, and it looks like they've just gotten married, but they like just met. So I don't know.
So
As you do.
yeah.
Maybe he had the dream too.
I mean, a lot of people get married after just meeting. I mean, for instance, my husband and I, we barely dated 9 years before we got married. No, it's interesting. So you had a lot of nostalgia for this movie as a child.
It was really upsetting to watch
and
it.
it just did not live up to
Not the first time. Now I watch it because I know it's bad.
I just I can't there's just nothing about it that like screams bad to me is the problem. And all screams like I must sit down and watch this movie. Like, why didn't I know about it? The name of it. I mean, it's like it feels actually like Brilliance.
They have a joke in there making fun of like the misunderstanding between leap year. So he was born on a leap day.
Yeah. Well, that's
and
from
that's why they
Pirates-
got him.
They all can't figure out when his birthday
That's
is.
from Pirates of
Story
Penzance.
of my
That's in
life.
the original story. Is that
Story
the
of
whole
my
premise is
Yeah.
like he's free from the pirates on his 21st birthday, 18th
But he's
birthday.
never sure.
Yeah, no,
Where
it's,
the-
No, he
then
never
they-
had. It's you have to have 18 birthdays. Since
Yeah.
he's born on leap
Then
day,
they
he's
s-
only had like 3 birthdays.
Yeah, and they reveal that he's not old enough, that he's going to have to now be a pirate until he's like 80. Because that's the rule, and so
they
so he
got him.
can't be with the woman of his dreams, who, by the way, he fell in love with by looking at her across a beach. And
Well,
then
it's
they
Christy
sing,
McNichol. It
and
makes
then they
sense.
sing a song.
That is what happened in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, they see
That
each
is how
other.
love happens.
He's never seen a woman his own age before. He looks across the beach. There's a bunch of women near him, but he's not interested in them.
Only one Christy McNichol.
He
though.
looks across the beach, sees Christy McNichol, and they sing a song and fall in love by the end of the song.
So tell me about the.
And I know all the words to the song.
There's only 30 seconds left.
Oh,
so tell
I
it
just
quickly.
wanted to know a little bit more about like the way that they like what's the style of the songs. Are they like
I mean, it's Gilbert and Sullivan, and then 80s.
okay?
There's a song called "Pumpin' and Blowin'," which is really good.
That's the
That's the
cartoon
cartoon
fish song?
fish song.
Oh, it's
I
amazing.
mean, this movie just sounds like gold.
Just seeing him underwater as underwater, which means he's just in a room with blue paint, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "I'm underwater." It's like
I-
it's a masterpiece.
I'm not hopeful for you winning this competition.
Damn it. I should have chosen Spy Kids.
Oh boy! All right, well that's the pirate movie.
Next.
Go Google
Well,
Give Me a
which one
Happy
do you want
Ending and
next?
watch that
Oh.
video because it's great.
Oh,
gonna
I get to
lose.
choose next.
Yep.
Let's make it really, really, really confusing. And why don't you go next?
Okay.
She
Why-
points to John.
Why are you confused? I'm confused now.
No, because I'm going all around the
Yeah,
table.
it's
Oh,
not
okay.
okay. Circle.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I could have gone
For the listeners at
clockwise.
home, she's confusing us in the room by not going in a perfect circle.
And the thing is, it would have been very normal until
Yeah.
she started explaining it.
Nah.
Okay, so your 5 minutes starts now.
All right. So the last Airbender is about 3 white Americans. Who,
Moving forward, I don't want to talk about this movie.
it's I've never had hate nostalgia before like I have for this, and whenever I think about it, I get mad. It's basically a condensed version of like the first season or book 1 of Water of Avatar. It's a fantasy thing that's done to the letter, skipping scenes, very slideshow-esque. 20 minutes in, you're at a third act of a different movie, and then when Ong showed, they also there's an opening scrawl in the beginning of this movie where they tell you everything that's going on in the world, like a Star Wars thing, but not fun, and they refer to him as the Avatar. Like they say all the A words in the wrong way in this movie. It's awful. They also pick the least.
Would you call it AFL?
It's AFL, yes. Very AFL. They pick the least charismatic actors of anyone I've ever seen. Ong is like, I gotta save them. And he just kind of like does weird face things. I want to hit his face
You
so
did a
much.
weird thing with your tongue.
Yeah. That's,
He's not wrong.
he's not. The first time I saw this years ago, I got so mad I almost like did that thing where you throw your computer and ruin it, and that would have been expensive. But I almost did it again. It was after coming off of the pirate movie. I was like, this is really good. I feel happy.
Oh.
And then I immediately hit depression as soon as I finished this movie because I was like, it's one of the few times where I realized that maybe I don't like movies. Maybe movies aren't for me. And it just all stems from huge pacing problems. This thing is high production value, but it's like a fan-made film. And I'm kind of on the fence about fan-made things in general. And it goes, like, I had to rewind a few times because I looked away once to like check out my cats who were like fighting over something. Came back and they were in a different like section of the movie. They were suddenly not in the Iceland anymore. They were in like Earthland, and they were convincing people to like fight the fire people with like stone thing. Like, if you like the cartoon or actually have no idea about this property, you have no idea what this movie's what's going on. And then Dev Patel's in this, the Slumdog Millionaire kid, and he thinks he's in a serious movie. Oh no! And he at one section of the movie, he has a kid come over and recount his character's backstory to him, so we could get the flashback to his backstory. And that's also the moment where that was kind of the key moment where I was like, toss this computer aside. Maybe I'm done with this forever. I stuck it through though. And yeah, it had just a lot of plot threads because I've seen like that first season, and there's a lot of plot threads that they just like force in there without any kind of build up. Like, Dev Patel dresses up as some kind of spirit thing, and they're like, oh, he's a spirit. He's not a spirit. He's a real person. It's like, well, that's not established. He's just there fighting with Ong, and there's tanks. Like, there's a lot of this, like, fun fantasy stuff that you just have no idea what it's for.
Also, they don't pronounce the main character's name right in the movie. It's crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and at a certain point, like, they're in, like, water Iceland again. Like, there's a different Iceland than the Iceland from beginning where they are. They don't do much. They don't do much to establish the difference. And they're there, and there's this girl with white hair who communes with the spirits, and she falls in love with Zuko, who is just there because he is a character in the cartoon. He has one funny joke, but it's like, "Who are you again?" I don't know. It's hateful how much production went into this for how much garbage came out of it, and then the credits as the end pop up, like written and directed and everything by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm like, oh. I don't know. It's just, there's so many things that you can see it kind of breach mediocre at certain points. Sort of like, when Trinity breaches the cloud cover in the third Matrix movie, and you're like, possibility.
I don't know that because I've never. I will
Yeah.
never see any of the Matrix movies ever.
So there's a moment just of, oh, I could see what a good version of this movie might be. And then it just like zooms in close to Ong as he fights some guys and waves his arms around, and like the special effects take a half second to catch up to him, and then it zooms back out as he's doing it. Like, kind of they cheat that they had to cut a bunch of times, and it looks cool. And I don't know. I don't have much more to say about it because it makes me so angry. I don't get angry very much.
I'm confused at how a person of color made a movie that is so whitewashed.
Here's my thing. It's like I have never watched Last Airbender. I'm not familiar with the show at all, and I've been told
really
I should watch it. I hear it's great. Maybe it's my Matrix. But like the thing is, I watch this movie, and you say that I haven't watched it, be confused. I wasn't confused at all. They over-explain everything. I know everything that's going on.
It's all plot points, no actual feeling or storyline at
but
all.
I don't feel like I missed a thing. And like my major thing with it was I get like if you were a fan of this franchise, I'm sure this movie's complete garbage. If you weren't, it's just a bad movie. It's not the worst movie ever. It's just kind of middling to bad. It's just kind of boring at points, but like the special effects aren't terrible. The acting is Like,
how are the fight scenes?
Terrible.
But I don't think they were terrible.
It's just like vanilla. It's the absolute like nothing. You feel nothing from this movie other than just like.
And that's kind of my context. Is that like when you go vanilla with this, or you go mediocre for me is the bigger sin.
Yeah.
Out of anything.
I disagree. I'd rather like something like because clearly M. Night Shyamalan, although he's a dullard, like clearly he loves this property and thought he was making it. Like there was something behind this. Like it was something like you listen to him talk about it. It was like a family tradition to watch The Last Airbender, and like he wanted to make something for his kids. He failed, but like there was something behind it. Like there was actually like some passion.
And yet
to this.
he made it the only person of color in that movie is the bad guy. Like how did he fuck that up?
Only
so
the bad guys are people of color.
I'm not saying that it's a good movie. I'm just saying that like to say it's the worst ever, I don't think it is. It might be one of the worst adaptions ever. Like that, I would totally be on board for that. But like when I'm watching it, like I somewhat paid attention at times, and like I was never like at the point of like, well, fucking done with this movie. Like I never got to that point. This is the only one I didn't take a break.
Yeah, I have to say that I sort of disagree with you. I did think the acting was pretty
It's terrible. But
terrible.
Well, and here's the thing, like where
and
I'm
it
coming
was
from.
directed terribly.
Like a lot of these other movies I've watched, there was a sense of like Glee, like these movies, or at least some people in the movie are aware that this is bad and they're having fun with it. Like there was
I've
a kind
not
of
seen mine.
there was a weird, well, even with yours, there's a weird perverse glee at some of this how bad it is. I'm like, it's fingernails on a chalkboard, but I'm like kind of laughing with it, and at this, I'm just not having a good time. Like it never crosses that border between so bad it's good. It just ends up being
when here's the thing is like it's the source content is so lighthearted and it tells a really deep story while still having like a depth and a soul and a sense of humor about it, right? But the last Airbender movie like takes itself way too fucking seriously.
What up, impartial judge?
I never claimed impartiality. Did I ever claim impartiality?
Fair.
No, I think it's terrible. I agree. It's terrible. I didn't know what the movies were.
Yeah, you can't help it if she's already seen them.
No, I know. But no, like that. My major point was that I watched the whole thing and I went, "Yeah, it was a bad movie. I never want to watch it again. I have no interest in watching it again. But like, I've seen worse movies."
I don't know. I just keep coming back to that scene where it's like, "Come here, kid.
Oh,
tell me about my
kid."
backstory." And I'm
that-
like, "Holy!"
But that's
fuck.
my point. There's very little good in the movie. Very little. Like I think the special effects were okay. They definitely could have been better.
I mean, they got D. Bradley Baker to do the
epic
voice of
levels
Appa.
mediocre.
Yeah, like that's where I come from. It's like
I hear
there's
you.
there's just nothing but mediocre. It goes lower than mediocre and slightly above, but it nails mediocre.
And the contest is what is the worst,
Yeah.
not what is the most mediocre.
But there were like very rarely, but there were a couple things that I actually enjoyed in the movie, and that I don't have that from the other two that I'm talking about.
I feel like though, if you were a fan of the show, this movie must have just crushed you.
I was,
Yeah, totally.
I was voting for the Fire Nation to ruin Aang. I was voting
All right,
against him the whole time.
That would be it.
Which is worse, Avatar: The Last Airbender or Dragon Ball Z?
I never saw that one.
Fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Is that a live action movie too?
Yes, it is. Oh my god. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It has
I've heard of
neither one are good. Dragon Ball. First off, it's Dragon Ball Evolution, not Dragon Ball Z, which
Yeah.
means they're already fucking things up from the word go.
Does that have Chow Yun Fat in it?
The movie's
God, no.
horrible.
Oh.
Horrible.
I should have picked that.
Horrible.
I'm kind of wishing I'd picked that.
I kind of am now too. Fuck that movie. God.
There's so many bad movies in the world.
The winner is Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a bad movie.
All the movies at the table sound great, but none of us want to go watch Dragon Ball Evolution
Or
after
the
this.
Marlon Wayne's Dungeons and Dragons. I can skip that fucking thing again.
Oh, no, you got to watch that. That movie is great.
Amberlee, who's next?
Ryan James.
Ryan, your time is starting.
All right. Jaws the Revenge. Imagine that you saw this really amazing movie called Jaws, and one of the most famous aspects of Jaws was how little they show the shark because they made this great animatronic shark that didn't kind of work. So this director went back to that original concept of a shark that doesn't work and said, let's show the fuck out of it. So we have a still shark on poles that you see a lot in the movie. If you wanted to know how they work, how the puppet sharks work, you see it. And then it just moves around and like kind of at people.
You
with
can
it.
see the paint on it.
Sometimes with his mouth open, sometimes with his mouth closed. And sometimes he gets people, and when he gets people, it just means they put their leg in his mouth and wiggle around like they're being eaten.
To slow motion.
Yeah.
So you can really see how bad it is.
Yep. Also imagine that you really liked the main character, Martin Brody, and you wanted to know where he is in life. Well, he died of a heart attack off screen out of a fear from sharks.
On land.
On land.
On land, living his
Yeah.
life like, sharks.
They'll never get me here.
He doesn't even get like a prop newspaper article in the movie. Just he died. He was so afraid of sharks.
In voiceover, they tell you this?
No,
or-
his wife is the main character of the movie. So the movie is all about her and this shark that is out for revenge against her family, obviously. So her son Sean gets eaten, and then
So she's lost a husband to shark attack.
to
Shark
a
shark
shark
A shark
Fear of
attack.
sharks.
a shark attack, if you will.
A shark attack.
And then what's his name? Oh, Michael Caine shows up in an airplane to take them to the Bahamas because she doesn't want to stay in Shark Attack Land anymore. So she goes down to the Bahamas. But guess what? The shark follows her because he knows where she's going in an airplane.
Well, he installed that microchip to track her.
It's because they have a psychic connection. It's like very vaguely explained in this movie, but she knows she can feel when the shark is coming.
If you've seen Deep Blue Sea, that tracks.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Tom Jane.
This is really the sequel to Deep Blue Sea, the Jurassic Park of shark movies.
But then there's this guy in the Bahamas who's like, no, man, there's no sharks in the Bahamas. It's too warm, man.
Oh, I forgot about that guy.
So there's a lot of minority representation in this movie.
All the accent.
He gets eaten by a shark, unfortunately.
In slow motion.
And then they just kind of redo the plot from the first movie where actually at the end of this, they decided they didn't have enough footage, so they had to put some footage from the first movie into it as well.
Incredible.
It's really good. They make it sepia tone, so you know it's a flashback, though. It's safe. Oh. And then instead of shooting a gun at the tank in the shark's mouth, she just rams the shark with a boat and spears him like a fish, and he's dead. And then that's it. It's really good. It's a really good movie. You get to see a boat get eaten by a shark. One thing that they could have added was a tornado. Like if the shark was in a tornado, this movie would have been better.
Wait, I have a question.
My time's over. It's time for questions. It's fine.
I'm done. I need to know. So she kills him by hitting him with a boat, but he was able to eat a boat earlier.
He ate a plane.
But she kills him by running him over with a boat.
Well, the boat had what do you call that part that sticks out?
A spear?
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually a spear. There's a name for it.
Like a mast or something?
Like a mast, yeah. A masthead, maybe.
Masthead, yeah.
There, okay.
Mast.
A masthead, and it's broken, so it's like sharp and jagged. So she runs that into the shark.
Little Mermaid,
like a vampire.
She Little Mermaids him.
Oh, and they were going to do this awesome thing in this movie where they mixed all these different animal sounds together, and they were going to get like train sounds for this awesome, huge shark roar, but they ran out of time, so they just used a lion. The shark comes out of the line or out of the water, you're...
Also, did you guys know Michael Caine missed being able to collect his Academy Award because he was shooting this movie?
No.
That's incredible.
Michael Caine said about this movie, I haven't seen it. By all accounts, it's awful. But I have seen the house it built, and it's wonderful.
But I will say, in a positive note about this movie, what do you want out of a Jaws movie? You want shark attacks? It's got fucking shark attacks. Do you want, family drama? It's got fucking family drama. It's got those things. It's got a dude with a bad Jamaican accent, which is amazing.
Oh my,
It's like the Transformers 4 of Jaws 4.
No, because sure. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But for me, this movie wins me over in the beginning with the shark that just laser focus saws a guy's arm off. Like it's just incredible.
I liked watching him go, oh God, my
The first
arm.
death is really good.
Oh my God! Like because
accurate.
Because if you reach into water and something rips your arm off, you're going in the water with it. And this guy's
Yeah.
just, oh shit, my arm came off.
Yeah.
It's just like a Lego. There's like, oh fuck.
And he's like in the boat, but then somehow the shark reaches up and grabs him out of the boat.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, haven't you ever seen a dog that needs to get bread
Also,
off the counter or something?
your dad was really big on defending against shark attacks. Did you not learn anything from him?
Well, it was nighttime, so I assumed the shark was asleep.
Because that's
But
scientifically
the
accurate.
Because
the
yes, you
very-
learned nothing about sharks.
But the very first shark attack we ever saw in Jaws happened at night.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Or
So-
was it day?
It was day for night.
Oh,
Film terminology.
jokes. But no, like this movie, it's like what you said. Like it's one of those like it's so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Like Chewie wanted to watch a bad, funny horror movie, and we put this one on.
Yeah, I would
And
watch
it's
it
got
again.
Michael Caine. Like I wasn't looking at the TV because I was
the
sewing.
most phoned in Michael Caine.
Yeah,
It's phenomenal.
but I was just like, the wife kind of looks like Frances McDormand, so I was like, oh, it's not Frances McDormand. And then I turned around and I heard the voice, and I was like, oh, it's not Michael Caine. And I turned around, and I was like, oh God, it is Michael Caine.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah. They
You
got
recognize that voice, but you didn't recognize him in Dunkirk.
No, I don't know. I'm a mystery.
It makes sense.
Wrapped in an enigma?
Yeah. Perfect. What? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, your movie just really I just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Like it's
stupid.
horrible. I don't want to.
Oh, it's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
was
it's
yelling
like
at it a
zero.
lot.
That's my thing.
Stupid, but like,
yeah, I don't think it quite zeroes out. Like it's just
It had like 9 reviews that were all 0, I think.
really.
Yeah.
I couldn't like for the entertainment value I got out of it. I couldn't have given it a 0 because at least I laughed.
Because if I'm gonna watch the
The
Jaws,
Jamaican
Well,
accent was
okay.
killing me,
Here's
man.
the thing: is that we didn't come off of this. Like we're living in an era of ruined franchises. Like
Yeah.
this was a holy franchise when they ruined it.
well, I mean, 3 I think kind of nailed in the coffin, ruined it.
What
The-
3D
Three
didn't add a
is-
lot to the story.
3 is garbage.
The first 2 are the first one's obviously one of the best films ever made.
Right.
The second one's a surprisingly decent sequel. It's not a
Right.
great movie, but it's not bad. Like if I'd seen that one as a sequel, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine. 3 is where they start going off the rails, and 4 is where they're like, bucket.
Challenge: we have 1 minute and 15 left on my timer. Name a good 4th movie in a franchise. I can't name a one.
Ooh,
Star Wars,
Oh,
Phantom
Fast and
Menace.
Furious.
Oh, Fast and
Give me
Furious.
that.
There you
did
go.
come
Fast
back,
and Furious
yeah.
is where it started getting good.
Fair. You win.
If by
That took
4th
me like
movie
10
do you mean
seconds.
episode 4? Does that count?
No, I mean
Sure
the
doesn't.
Phantom Menace. I mean Alien Resurrection. Come on.
Oh, you know, I do like when the aliens like beat each other to bleed their way out of the room. That is a cool move.
I did like the underwater swimming ones; those looked cool.
This is the kind of thing that it's like, they jumped over the shark. I really liked it when the aliens jump over the shark.
And isn't it great that a movie like this can bring us together thinking about all these other movies that are not enjoyable? Like they're funny, they're so bad they're good. It really brings us all together. That's a really net positive for that movie.
Darn, ruined it. Listen, my movie has Michael Caine in it. I know it's not the
It
worst.
does, though. And as a romantic lead. Although, oh god, that's the other thing is the woman is all like, I'm old and shriveled. No man will want me. She's like 35.
Again.
And then Michael
Old
Caine,
in
who
the
is like
80s.
15
Yeah.
years
Totally
older
different.
than her, gets her at the end.
Okay, so last and hopefully not least, or I guess hopefully least, would be me.
It's gonna be hard to top Airbender.
I see where you're coming from, but I disagree. So I've prepared a slight pitch for this, and I will give it to you, and you can all tell me I'm stupid, and that's fine. So in my mind, there's a line for bad movies. There's a line, and you can either be so bad it's good or just bad. And I think most of these movies, like Emily's, would be the quintessential so bad it's good. Like it just blows past the line and goes into full quality town.
I'll give you that.
Ryan's crosses that line and lands somewhere in the middle there, but still so bad it's good. John's walks as close to that fucking line as it can get of just being terrible. That line is Battlefield Earth. I think it is the worst fucking movie ever made on every single count possible. It is shot poorly. It's edited poorly. The acting is atrocious. The script is atrocious. Do you want to go into very long conversations about cyclo trading? Because I sure fucking don't. Like, holy God. There's so many conversations about the gold trade on cyclo between these guys in these ridiculous costumes that look awful. And it's not just they look bad and repulsive. So everyone has to wear these fucking nose things that go up their nose and have these tendrils coming out of their nose for the whole fucking movie. And it's not like it's something that was like, oh, I get it, it's a kind of a breathing apparatus. They made it look as gross as possible at every possible turn. And the thing that I find even more upsetting about this movie is the people who made it, minus the director, even the director, bring him back, are talented people. The guy who shot this movie just shot Hell or High Water, one of the best shot movies of the year it came out. The guy who directed this movie art directed Star Wars. Like, these are legit people. We have Forrest Whitaker, John Travolta, Barry Pepper just coming off of Saving Private Ryan. All of these people who are talented, credible, enjoyable people in other things all came together to make one of the worst things ever made. And I want to enjoy it. I want to have fun with it, but it never fully goes that way. It just stays right in Terrible Town the whole fucking movie.
Can you tell me something about the movie other than that it's bad?
So it's so fresh. So the movie takes place way in the future, 1,000 years in the future. Cyclos have showed up, destroyed the planet in all of 9 minutes. Humans are living as scavenger people somewhere in the mountains is where the movie takes place, somewhere in Colorado. And they decide that they're going to overthrow their gods, and they send Barry Pepper out to find the gods. He finds them. They are the Cyclos. He goes into a torture encampment where you find out all about the Cyclo economy, about the Cyclo breathing, about Cyclo everything, and it kind of drives you insane. And then they decide they're going to have Barry Pepper learn to fly their machines, fire their guns, and mine all the gold for them, thinking that he won't use this to overthrow them, which of course he does.
I'm like asleep right now.
Thank you, because it's fucking horrible. So you have all of this going on, and then you have these weird things like, well, we need to find maps, and they're in a plane, and they're flying over the country, like, the lines aren't there on the country anymore, and they're like, oh, they must have faded over time. It's like, no, it's just a fucking map, so they can know what a map is, but they don't know how to read it. They say piece of cake all the time, they don't know what cake is. The movie contradicts itself at every single possible turn, and I'm just losing
They actually
my
have
mind.
a scene about not knowing what cake is.
Yes. Because they learn the
So
phrase.
sad.
They learn the phrase piece of cake, but they like, but I don't know what cake is. It's just, it's constantly
It's a tragedy.
grinding. And like the thing is, like, if it were to just go a hair more camp, it would cross that line and go into so bad it's good. But as soon as it walks up there, and you have these like kind of funny lines where like John Travolta finds out that Forrest Whitaker's betraying him and beheads a bartender, and the way that he tells him, he pulls out the bartender's head and goes, "You're a friendly bartender." And you kind of laugh at it, but it's like it comes out of nowhere, so it's not even motivated, and it's like
I feel like you just turned this movie around.
oh, there's one good line, and it's really that line. But like it's just, if it was a sci-fi movie, like it's based on an L. Ron Hubbard book, which I'm trying to leave the Scientology stuff out of this, but that's the only reason it got made was because a lot of Scientologists made it. But like it's
So is it like a scripture? Is this
no,
like
no, no.
a
This is just
theatrical
one of his,
version of the
Probably
scripture?
more like a
No, this
tax
is-
shelter.
This
You
is
know
more
what I
like just one of his sci-fi books, not the one based on the religion. This is just one of his other sci-fi books. But it's just, the movie is just exhausting and not fun. And like that's, I think it's the biggest problem with it is it's a bad movie. It's hard to watch. Every single shot is canted the whole time, and they cant at different angles. So from shot to shot, you're literally like tilt your head to go with the movie, and like everything just annoys me to my core.
Is there a purpose to the canted? Is it like meant
Nope.
meant to be
The-
like so we're in a war zone and nothing can be straight?
Nope.
You don't know what's happening, what's going on.
The color grading I didn't bring up because there is purpose to color grading, and that one kind of made sense after a while, because if it's blue, that means it's the cyclo's air. If it's orange, it means it's human air. And that you kind of pick up on it after a while, but that was really the only thing they did somewhat right. But like I've missed everything. Like there's so much to say.
But they
in this.
made like an attempt at some
They did
sort
make
of,
an attempt at something. So they did get something.
Really, I mean, you gotta give everybody credit for that.
I feel
That
like
was my 5.
I
Okay.
feel like one. Now I want cake. So that's not bad.
I have to give a real shout out to John Travolta's voice throughout all this,
Oh my
because I wasn't expecting it. First of all, because I knew nothing going into this, so I was laughing the whole time. And it's one of those ways where it's like someone saying something stupid, or like someone farted at church or something like that, and you're just like, this is silly. But, you know,
When I was
the
watching
whole movie.
When I was watching with Chewie, she thought that he was trying to do like a Shakespeare thing.
Oh,
like that's
no.
where she thought his head was at, and I could kind of see it, but it didn't.
What do you mean?
I mean, I actually do enjoy John Travolta's performances for the most part. He's not a Shakespeare guy.
No.
That's just not in his wheelhouse. Did I not hit start?
I love Barry Pepper. You know, Barry Pepper's the star of this movie, and I'll watch anything with Barry Pepper in it, even if it's bad. So I'm on board for Barry Pepper with a weird hairdo and shit coming out of his nose.
I just feel so bad for Barry Pepper. Like you come off Saving Private
His
Ryan.
career didn't go where.
No, well, and it should have too, because he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
But he went from Saving Private Ryan to this.
Yeah.
And he's somewhat cobbled together.
But it was with John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker. Why would you say no to
Yeah,
that?
and the art director of Star Wars.
Yeah.
All of this made sense. And
All right, here's my argument against your movie. It won 8 Razzie Awards. My movie only won 1, so your movie
is worse.
is better.
My movie
It has
predates
more-
the
you're
Razzies.
defending.
It won more awards than my movie.
yeah, but
got
they're
you there.
negative
And-
awards.
and
They're
it-
awards for crap
No,
quality.
I think he's defending
It made $10 million more than my movie.
Well, mine had a legit budget behind it. There was that.
Yeah, and it costs a lot.
My
more
movie
money.
made $8 million world time, like throughout time.
Yeah, but mine was like a movie to see. People wanted to see how bad it was.
Yeah, it was a movie to see because it was good.
It's not good. Even you know it's not good. We all know the movies at the table are not good, but it's just the
I don't
funny,
know.
yours is the only one that's not an
Pirate
adaptation, I
sounds
think.
Pretty good.
it's an adaptation
Is
of Battlefield Earth.
Oh, Battlefield
It's
Earth
an L.
is
Ron
a-
Hubbard book.
It's the old
Oh,
book. Yep.
oh.
Yeah.
We're all adaptations today.
yeah.
What does that tell
It's
you?
kind of weird, like the frame of mind I was
The
watching.
original
saying,
movies are better.
like once I saw the canted angles, and it was like, okay, non-motivated, fine, but like it had a very Schumacher-esque feel if you tone that back a little bit. So it's, for me, in a similar way, it's sometimes maybe that it doesn't go far enough.
Yeah, it's something worth watching in film school. Probably.
Yeah, it's interesting and
That's where you're
funny.
getting at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's an amusement factor that I was very surprised about, because I have heard you talk about this negatively before.
I hate it so much.
And as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is silly. This is funny. Like I think I got cued into it pretty quick that I'm supposed to be like annoyed. Like this is supposed to barrage me with annoyance. And
Well, it's not. It was really like this came from a good place. It's kind of like what I was saying with the other one. It's like people wanted to make this. Like they like just with your movie. Like they thought they were making something good. Travolta was very proud to be in an L. Ron Hubbard movie.
And I'll tell you what, I can see the Scientology Center from my balcony, which is exciting. And
Do you just watch this movie all the time?
if I was to say, if I go down there and be like, "What do you guys think of Battlefield Earth?" I bet there's a whole slew of people at that place. It would
they
be
projected
like,
on the side of the building.
I love it.
I won't name names, but I do know one Scientologist, and I asked him, and he said no.
Oh.
They are not fans. Apparently, this is kind of like the last Airbender to Scientologists.
I forget where I read it, but I guess during like the premiere or something, Travolta was just laughing the whole time.
Oh, man.
So it strikes me while watching this and looking stuff up that he was in on the joke, or that,
no
he
way.
thinks it was
Like,
funny.
No way. I've read things. He was so happy to be making this movie. He was proud of it.
Yeah.
He was proud of the design because he thought it followed the books. It doesn't. He thought they were making something. They thought they were making the next Star Wars. They were making the next space epic. It ends on a cliffhanger. They only made half the book. There was supposed to be a second one. They thought they were making something truly great, and they made the worst movie ever made.
It actually collapsed the production company.
Yeah.
So they didn't make a second one. I just read that on Wikipedia.
Is that true? Is that true?
I don't know if it was because of the movie, but yeah,
Oh
the
my
production company
gosh.
went out of business.
Oh, that says a lot, doesn't
Like
it?
there's a special place of terribleness that is Battlefield Earth. Like, and that's I had somebody try to like, oh yeah, it was The Room before The Room. I'm like, no, The Room is entertainment personified. Like that is the greatest like bad movie ever. You just love watching.
I
with
love
friends.
showing somebody The Room for the first time. It's a great experience.
Exactly, like,
Let's
but
do
because
that
you can
then,
laugh with
Alex.
it the whole time, and then you sit down and watch Battlefield Earth, and like you will definitely have moments like John's saying. It's like, oh, that was a funny line, or that was a funny thing. But the movie is like 2.5 hours long. It's long. And it's a lot of just inner working politics and economy and pointing that like, oh, there's a camera in this room, and they bring that up like 100 times, and it just
Can't wait till you're done talking about this movie.
it's just grating in every
we have cake?
possible
Technically,
way.
he was done 4.5 minutes
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
We've been supposed to be.
Yeah.
Talking
But
about
Brian
the
is
movie.
Mr. Debate guy.
I know. I like debating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible movie. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
It
I
sounds
know,
so bad. I actually want to watch it.
I
just
know,
to
I
see,
know,
like,
I
how
know that The
bad
Last
it is.
Airbender
Here,
is
we
a bad
can-
movie, and
I
I'm
don't wanna
guessing
watch
that this one is a
Airbender.
bad
All right,
movie.
we'll stop it there, and then we'll let Amberlee do her ranking of the 4 movies.
Okay, so we're still recording. I get confused
Yes.
that it's not like stopping and
The timer has stopped. Yeah,
Yeah,
recording has not.
but I can just talk as long as I want to. At this
Yeah,
point.
you've got the
Whatever.
You're
mic.
in charge.
And
You
go
have the
and
gavel.
go. I have the gavel, and this is the part where it's the judge talking, and the judge can just talk about herself all she wants, and then wind and here and there, up roads and back down.
Okay, the people are almost at work. Get on with it.
Okay, listen, the Pirates movie sounds amazing. I can't.
I admit it does sound pretty amazing.
You
I
free on
really,
YouTube. You should check
you
it
really,
out.
you failed.
I did.
Like-
I knew when I started singing along with the songs that I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna win
You're
this.
not gonna win this. I mean,
Emily and I
me
played
a-
the wrong game
Give
today.
me
Yeah.
a happy ending.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were messaging last night as we were both watching our movies, and I'm like, partway through, she's like, "I love this so much." I'm like, "You failed at
You
worst movie."
failed.
I did fail.
you failed. And like, here's the thing with the Jaws one. It's the same too, where it's just like all of that stuff about the badness of it is just really funny, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's really funny to watch the like broken mouth try and bite somebody, right? Like, let's be real. Everybody wants a good giggle at that. The Last Airbender is terrible. Legit, absolutely terrible. It's a travesty to humanity. And it has taken away joy from my life.
And you get joy out of terrible things.
And I
Yeah.
do, as I
She
have,
couldn't even get that.
as I have much told many people, I do not find joy in joy. I find joy in misery. And I still hated that movie and needed to walk away. Your movie, I wanted to fall asleep. I couldn't even listen to any of it. That sounds just god awful. And so right now I have to decide between boring as shit and a travesty to humanity. Yeah, I'm really having a tough time. As judgmental as I am biased against The Last Airbender. It's true. But your movie, Brian, sounds boring as shit. And I don't want.
Really
I am
is.
never going to see it. So, I guess Brian, you win.
Woo! Because of course, Battlefield Earth wins the worst
Brian
movie
always
battle.
fucking wins.
Unless-
Well, and to
Brian's
be fair,
like the guy who pulls out his own board game at the party and always wins. Like, guys, let's play this again.
That's why I was rooting for John when I knew I wasn't going to win.
and
to be fair, I've lost many times. Many
yeah,
times.
no, this is time.
I'm just on a good streak right now.
It's like the Oscars, where finally it's these people's times to win, right?
Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Brian.
I have never beaten Sam. Ever. Sam has beaten me every time we've had her on for a battle. So, next week. Next week we have... it's a controversial movie. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and even people who loved it had a lot of things they hated about it. So, it will be interesting to talk about.
You're doing The Last Jedi already?
Blade Runner 2049. It's almost more controversial than The Last Jedi.
Probably
I don't
more
get
so.
how, but okay.
Well, there's a lot of things that we can talk about over a
Yeah.
course of an hour next week. And then the week after that, we have another one that I forget off the top of my head. But it's
The
a good
Matrix?
one. It's not The Matrix.
I'm telling you.
I have a plan for The Matrix. I'll
yeah.
talk to you after we get done recording.
Yeah, we're gonna do The Matrix
Nice.
because I will never see those movies.
We'll make a riveting
Don't see
episode.
the second or third one, but I mean the first.
She's never going to watch
I'm
it.
never
We've
gonna
had
watch
this
it.
There's only one
conversation
movie,
many
right?
times.
No.
There's two. The Animatrix isn't bad.
But I do think that you should have me try and tell you what I think The Matrix is about.
Believe me.
That would be funny.
I have a
She
plan.
does the breakdown of the Matrix movies without having seen them.
I definitely have a plan for it. So thank you, Amberlee, for coming on to judge.
Yeah,
I hope
glad
you had
to
a
be
good
here.
time.
I did.
Are you going to watch any of these movies?
No. Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch the Pirates one for sure.
That's-
movie.
it's-
You
On
will definitely
YouTube.
get a happy ending with that.
Again, it's free on
And
YouTube.
I got it. And I will say this: I listened to the commentary last night, and despite it being not a great movie, that is actually one of the best commentaries I've ever heard. It's the DVD publisher sitting in a room with the director, who again has made a zillion movies. And after a while, they just stopped talking about the pirate movie, and he started asking him about all his other movies, and he talked about working with Walt Disney, and it was a really great commentary. And he talked about how he gets actors to do stuff, and how he copied things that Hitchcock did, and how and how it was working on The Longest Day, and basically he got his entire career by just being incredibly fucking agreeable. Like he's like, yeah, no, it's really nice. So they gave me this job.
Sounds right.
Yeah. It kind of sounds how like Ryan Johnson got Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I just heard him talk
and
about
the
how
whole
good
new
that-
trilogy.
We can talk about that later. Anything else to plug? We have the Marvin Gaye the dog. Is that it?
Yes, it's Marvin Gaye the dog. He's quietly sitting here in the corner.
Yep.
Very good
He's
dog.
snoozing.
He heard his name. Nope, he's awake.
Oh, he's awake now.
Ryan,
Maybe
anything
like
to plug?
side eye, like
Cool. All right, so you can check us out, www.athpod.com. You can see all of our stuff there. You can also rate and review us on iTunes and the other stuff that I'm always supposed to say at this point that I always forget.
Oh, I want to plug our Spotify playlist because I keep that engine going.
I like this week's a lot.
I know it's really. They're always really good.
Yeah. I've plugged it a lot. We still don't have a lot of subscribers.
One, me.
Yeah, well, no, we have more than that because my whole family subscribed to it.
You guys should teach me how to use Spotify.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I agree. The Spotify playlist comes out every Friday, right?
Ish.
Yeah.
Friday-ish.
Sometimes Saturday.
Sometimes
Depends
Saturday.
on how on the ball we are.
The only
Yeah.
thing, the only thing I wish is that you could see kind of what we contributed to it, because I think together it's a very interesting mix we all bring to it.
Yeah.
Interesting
But
is
I'm
a
always-
nice word
and-
sometimes.
and
Yeah,
trying
but
to
I'm always
guess-
curious what we all like, who does what, like, because it just takes it away once you make it.
When you
public.
listen to it on, like, sometimes I'll put it in the car and listen to it on shuffle, and then I guess who picked what, and it's always so easy to see what Chewy picks.
Yeah.
Chewy's the easiest one.
Except we share an account, so if you look at it, it could be either one
Right.
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you hear it, you're like, that's Chewy.
Yeah,
that
that's-
country music song is Brian. That teeny bop song, that's definitely Chewy.
Cinebop might sometimes be.
I
me.
know. They throw me off sometimes.
I have thrown Kelly Clarkson in once, so you know it can happen. But thank you again for everybody for coming out. This was a really fun battle. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.